Hello, everyone. My name is Bill Spencer, and today I'd like to introduce Aamer Kaleem, who is Customer Program Manager in the Microsoft Teams engineering organization, and he will be introducing Microsoft Teams for Firstline Workers. Take it away, Aamer.
Thank you so much, Bill. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. And I see some familiar names here, so really appreciate that you're joining. Today's conversation is more focused on our first-line workers. And so I'll try to go quickly through it, and we'd like to answer your questions as well, and want to show you a few things as well on first-line workers as well. So with that, let's get started. I hope everybody can see my desktop. Bill, you can confirm that?
Yes.
Thank you so much, Bill. All right, cool, awesome. So I'm gonna basically, you see, Microsoft Team is essentially a people-centric architecture for teamwork. So essentially a workplace for everybody, not only for information worker or back office workers, but the people who actually, work on the first lines of your organization and they're sitting on the contours of your organization. They're interfacing with your customers, client, affiliates, partners. So simple to use experience is very, very key for them. These are the people who are on your factory floors, who are in your shops, who are, they're the ambassadors of your brand. And it is very important for them, both internal customers, for external customers, that these people are empowered and they feel as part of the organization. But unfortunately, the reality on the ground today is that they feel disconnected from the ground. Usually they are task workers. They don't have a dedicated machine. And whatever tools they have, they're relying on, taking pictures of their schedules. They're sharing the best practices through, personal devices, sort of thing. And even though that they sometimes may not be even up to date about the company policies and securities and stuff like that. So it is, we thought it through completely on Teams that, hey, how can we make it easier for those people? But before I go there and show you that experience, there are a bunch of things I want to run by you. Especially I want to hit on this, what is happening, which we have observed in Microsoft. What I found is that the most common things which first-line worker actually take care to use is essentially they communicate with their supervisors, co-workers, or they reach out to people deeper in the organization and trying to seek help, sort of a thing. And then their other requirement is that how can they get access to company documents, some instruction manuals, or company training, and this need of theirs that usually would lead into relying on some consumer grade applications, WhatsApp, iMessage, or you name it not, or Facebook Messenger, and that creates compliance and security backdoor. It essentially, there is no audit trail to it, that who got what, who has access what information or document, or how that conversation which is happening is there, there is nothing there. So not only that it is a security risk, it's actually leads to intellectual property theft or leakage sort of thing as well. The most common thing which we have heard is that people create a lot of groups, let's say in WhatsApp, and then most of the people there's a high iteration rate there, and sometimes very senior people also have left. In one example, CEO of the company left, but it was so difficult to remove that person from all the WhatsApp groups they were in, and that led to a lot of competitive issues as well. But certainly the risk of liability, the limited scope of giving your company line of business applications to those people, so no management, no governance. So with that, I think the full life cycle, that how people spend the whole day before they start their work, when they're on the work, and right after the work if there are things they need to do, close up. I think that's the whole idea, that how teams can help, how teams could be part of that day and help them to make their, number one, make their life simpler, make their day easier, and help them accomplish their task in a very secure manner, in a manner which is in line with their company policies, and in a manner where they get recognition as well from that standpoint. So most of you probably are very familiar with Teams. If you are an information worker, you could certainly can overwhelm yourself, the amount of capabilities and things Team offer. But from Firstline Worker standpoint, that experience, which is usually a mobile first experience, could be made very, very simple. And I've found customers mostly focusing on communication and access to documents most of the time to make the life easier as a starting place. And then they go to a higher advanced capabilities, which sometimes in the Firstline bank experience, like scheduling, shift, that sort of a thing as well. But essentially full gamut where the Firstline workers, basically go there. So let's take it a little bit, and then I'll show you this whole as well. Essentially, one place for the chat. If you look at the bottom here, you would see that chat, calls, and contacts. That's the only this here they want, and that's what it is. And their channel messages of their favorite channels and their chats are right there, right on the fingertips to do the job. So simplicity of that. So essentially, that's what it is behind the scene. And their ability that based on what the IT or central policy is, have given them that latitude if they want to little bit change their what apps they would like to surface and make this experience better. Yeah, those apps are in the overboard tray. They're available right there for them. Here is what IT Pro experience is, that there's policies within Teams portal that customers can basically IT Pro, Central IT can set it up for them, and then they can go from there. Bill, is there an opportunity to show the experience how Mark and Spencer has done it, or shall we go in a quick demo here?
Why don't you do the demo first, and then we'll do the video afterwards?
Sure. Okay. So let's show you how this whole thing actually plays into it. So I'm going to actually bring up my mobile first experience here. So I'm going to actually mirror my screen, my mobile client to the screen. Hope you guys can see my mobile client, right? So
looks good.
Yep, I'm actually signing up. I'm signed in as Patty. Patty is a Firstline worker, and this is her mobile device. And I'm going to bring up experience of her manager. Her manager's name is Pradeep. He's logged into a Teams client here on the right. So let me do it again one more time to make sure. This is Patty right here, right? And then on the right side here, I'm showing you the experience of the manager. So when Patty starts her day, she sees that, hey, there was a missed call from Pradeep, basically. So she can very quickly go and look at her, that call. If she wants to make that call, she can make that call. Or if she wants to start a very quick chat with Pradeep, she can go to a chat with Pradeep. And there's something which previously, she had sent an image and she said, hey, hi, and she can send a message. So as she sends a message, you see that Patty is sending a message to Pradeep. On the right, Pradeep can basically very quickly go into the chat and see that there is a message coming in from Patty. And I think Patty probably wants to share, say that, hey, I want to share something with you right now, that somebody left some information for you and I want to make sure that you have. So Patty basically is giving an access to the camera right from the chat. Let me go back and let me do it one more time. So she was there and she basically touched on this, she has access to her photo library, but instead of that, she hit on the camera. And basically on camera, she selects the document and there's somebody who left a business card and which she wanted to do that. Now with the smart, that technology, if you take that image, you see that that image was processed in a way and sent in a way that was, properly cropped, sort of this. So she can now at this point send a message and that this is left for you at shop. If only if I know how to type. And she can send that thing. And as she is typing, you can see that here, this is image coming up, and that's the business card which was sent by her. Now, let me quickly go a little bit level set. Let's say that she has here her files and she wanted to see that, what are the latest announcements on the HR she was looking at previously. She can go back and she have a completely access to file. This could be the company policy. She can quickly do that. She can look at the recent ones here. There was a PowerPoint here. She can basically open up a very quick PowerPoint and understand, what is in that PowerPoint thing is. Then if she wanted to say that, hey, I don't want that file icon here. My personal preference is that this instead of file icon, I want a quick access to camera. So she can basically very quickly, easily by herself, pull up this, the overflow tray and hit edit and say that, okay, I'm gonna get rid of the file here and I'm gonna bring camera up there basically. And I'll say done, and look at that at the bottom now. If you look at right here in bottom, that her activity, calls, chat, and this. She may also decide that, hey, I don't want activity there. I think I'm going to keep it simple and I want to remove the activity, and she does, it's done. So all she has is calls, chat, and camera. So now if you want access to camera, very quickly she can have access to the camera basically. That's basically her experience from that standpoint. But that doesn't mean that she doesn't have access to her teams. So let's say that she was looking at teams and she was looking at what the recent company announcement was. Right here there was a security advisory, and she can look at that security advisory very easily right from here. If she wanted to see if there were any files under this, she has access to that. She has access to all the teams basically here, but it's not cluttered for her. She has her common channels she uses right there on the top, and then all the chats she has right there as well. Again, she has access to the company basically, all the applications. If there was a post or something that she wanted to get back to, she can hit and she says, oh, there was actually a post, and that was actually that company security announcement she previously saved. She can very quickly go there as well. Other than that, she have access to basically her shifts as well. So she can look at, that she can very quickly look at what shifts are available to her. She can request a shift. She can look at her open shifts. Let me show you on the manager side that manager essentially has, what shift is for this particular shop has, and you can look at the, here's the managers and here's the cashiers, and they can, these are open, there are all day shifts, there are shifts which are open shifts available, and they can offer it from that standpoint. The piece which is sometimes is very interesting is that she, let's say Patty want to have a very quick conversation with Pradeep about her shift. She can make a very quickly make a phone call to Pradeep, and as she makes that phone call, let me start from here, Pradeep here, and let's make a phone call to Pradeep. So here she is making a phone call to Pradeep, and you would see that there is an incoming call from Patty. For the sake of that, it will do the howling, but I'll let me see if I can pick it up. So I can and now you can see that they both are connected here. From a phone call standpoint, they can still do a chat as well, side by side. If she wanted to send, she wanted to share something really in lifetime. For example, she wanted to show a quick, basically a full file or video. She can do that as well. So you can see that the experience is very, very simple. You can see that that they can do very quickly access to the chat. They can communicate very securely. The other piece which I wanted to show you, that this picture which she took right here and uploaded, if I go back to her phone and we basically go here, that picture actually is not there. You see, that picture is not stored in her personal photo library. It is whatever she's doing in a realm of her work, it is actually staying in the realm of the work that is not saved into her in the photo, basically in the personal library. So she can communicate very securely. She can share things very quickly with the camera. She has access to the camera. She basically can pick up this thing up You know, if let's say that if she wanted to share one more picture, I'm going to take another picture from here, and if this is the product she was going to take a photo of. She can very quickly annotate on these things, basically, right? So she wanted to say that I wanted to highlight this particular area, and then I wanted to say that this is what you see, that wear and tear is happening, and she wanted to send this to her boss. She can basically very quickly send it to her boss that way. So it gives the full gamut of the suite, you know, to do her job, and she can communicate about it. She can basically have access to her company documents through files. She can basically make phone calls if she need to, which is again is not using her own calling plan, but using the company plan. With that, I'm going to actually stop and see if there are any questions. Bill, is this a good time to take questions?
Yes. So one question is, what mobile operating systems are supported? So your image on the left appears to be a Android, I believe.
It's iOS, actually.
It's iOS.
It's iOS.
Okay.
It's iOS,
and we do support. About what support?
Yeah, we do support both iOS and Android.
Excellent. And that's it for the questions so far. But feel free to enter any questions in the chat window in your Skype for Business experience.
So let me, as questions are coming in, let me make one more statement. So we have done worked with our industry teams, and we have done a lot of work in verticals. So we have, you know, we can help you if you're a manufacturing vertical, if you're a retail vertical, your airline vertical, or your utilities or professional services. We have built those, you know, scenarios and common use case scenarios, and we can share them with you. And we can go from there, basically see that what is relevant. The most common I found which cut across industry is number one problem where the managers, the supervisors, or the business store operations or first line worker people, you know, relationship managers who are responsible for the first line workers. The common scenario is that, hey, our first line workers are heavily using consumer grade communication and messaging applications, which creates that security issues, both in terms of, you know, a backdoor, you know, IP threat, competitive, you know, all those security issues. Is there a way to very quickly, without touching and taking the most complex things like integration to Chronos or something like that, can we start using Teams in a very lightweight manner and you know, just match whatever they're using on the consumer app, like WhatsApp, to messaging, calling, and cameras? That's exactly what I was trying to overemphasize today and show it to you. And so
Excellent.
that's what.
So another question came in, Aamer, from Eric, and he asks, what level of licensing is required for the first line worker features you are showing?
So the very basic licensing which is required is Office 365 F1, but all other E-SKUs, E1, E3, E5, they all include that, but F1 is the minimum requirement.
Thank you.
Other questions?
Oh no, please continue. I'll let you know if there are.
Okay, so here, which I'm showing on the screen, where I have channels and chat together. I think most of you probably are familiar, but I'll just for making sure everybody knows. So I went basically into these three lines up there and trying to go into, you know, in settings. So when I go into settings under general, so there you can see there are various options up here. And here under general, I have show channels. So if it is turned on, that toggle switch, I'm going to toggle this switch to off, and I'll show you, go back, that get out, that now when I look at the chat, it only gives me chat. It is not giving me my favorite three channels. So let's go and put them back here. If I go back here, I go under settings. Under settings, I go under general and I toggle the switch, which I want to see that. And now I'm come out and you see that those channels are back right here. So that's a very common scenario that some people, it's a personal preference that they want in one go. They want to have that consolidated view. They don't want to toggle between the icon at the bottom. You can certainly, if you like, you can edit, and you can, as a personal preference, you can bring teams right full, all the access right here. And that's here. Now you have access to teams basically. So you have all your channels and teams right here. Mostly it's personal preference, but wanted to make sure that you guys are aware of that. Again, I'll pause. If not, then you can actually say that, hey, I was looking for Ben, and you can very quickly, and let me go back. I should have explained this before. So what I'm trying to show here is that you can search people very quickly. So you can search here, and you can say start typing the name. As you start typing the name, it will start to show it. Oh yeah, I was looking for Ben Walters, and I have a very quick, contact card information for Ben. I can look at, I have options to chat, do a video or voice call with them. I can look at the hierarchy of, what is the reporting structure there. I can start a quick chat with Ben. I can go back to my, previous chats with him. And then I can essentially say that, hey, Ben had actually helped me somewhere. So I'm basically going to do is that I'm going to go and praise Ben. I'm going to create something here, and I'm going to say, thank you, Ben. And I'll basically add a personal thing, great support during night shift. And I'll send this basically so Ben and send this as a praise there. So if I go here in I'm actually the manager here, Patty just put this praise card. This is very acknowledging the co-workers or employees. It's very, very interesting. Same way, if I happen to be, let's say, during training, I wanted to say that, hey, I am actually on site. So can I do that? That I'm on a location. I can certainly share my location. So if I have access to there, and here you go, I can basically share my location right live into the chat. And that would basically would be there. So if I go here in training mode here, so here Patty just shared her their location basically, sort of a thing. So very, very fluid, very easy things the first-line worker would expect. They are using on things like WhatsApp. It's right there in Teams, and they can make use of that. So I'll pause one more time, see if there are more questions.
Nope. Great explanation and demo. People are not asking questions, but if they do, feel free to put them into the chat window. Thank you.
Okay. On the manager experience, usually managers would basically, this is the activity feed like a desktop client, full-blown client. They have access to all the teams right here. They have access to, their shift schedules. They have basically access to the whole shift schedules of they're managing the shifts. Again, their chats are here. So as a manager, multiple people, I'm chatting with here, I'm there. I have access to making phone calls. I can look at the call history completely, who have spoken to, my voicemails, my contact list, my speed dials, basically right here. I can essentially, I can go and create tasks for people, assign tasks to people, and they say that, hey, we need to follow up this basically I can create that task. I have access to my complete calendar, means I can I might have an upcoming meeting, calls, conversations. I have access to this, is automatically synced to that. I have full access to my files, files whether they're in Teams right here or files which are essentially on OneDrive here, so which I might be sharing with my colleagues, with people who work for me, and that sort of a thing. So essentially a full-blown experience on the manager side, and manager certainly has it. Now I want to show one more thing. I think for the completeness sake, essentially at the same time that Patty is actually logged in right now mobile first, but if she get access to a desktop client, she can do that as well. So I'm going to declutter this whole thing so I can show you. Basically, this is Patty's desktop client. So if you remember, she was doing a chat with Pradeep, right? And so if she last chat, she basically sent a praise to, she said hi to this. And if you look at this, this is the Patty desktop, and she has all that thing is automatically synced. So that's the beauty of the team, is that even though she was working on full-blown on mobile client, on iOS client, on her iPhone, but everything, when she gets to chance to log in to desktop, maybe on a shared machine, and she's logging web browser, all the things are automatically synced. They are there. Basically, if you look at this, the call she made, if you go back to history, this is the call she made, outgoing call, at about 8-9 minutes back. She's a call she made. She have access to all those things. Her files are here as well. Whatever in those files she was looking at, those files are right here. So hope this gives you a sense that it is essentially an experience, basically not only that on the mobile as well, but that thing, that mobile experience is actually mapped to desktop experience as well, as and when they get a chance to log back in.
Excellent, thank you. So a question came in. Jen asked, is there reporting available on the badges? For example, someone receives 15 badges in a given week.
Well, I don't remember that top of my head. You have any chance you remember that?
Yeah, no. So I think the answer is that feature is coming, likely as soon as this summer.
Thank you, Bill.
So badges are available. Accounting for badges is coming soon.
Okay. If no more questions, then that probably we'll call it a wrap. Unless, Bill, you have an opportunity to show that Mark and Spencer video.
Yes, I will show it right now. So thank you so much, Aamer. I appreciate the overview of Firstline Workers, and thank you all for your questions and engagement. And I will now start the Firstline Worker video. I want to point out that there are some people who are directly on the Skype for Business chat, and that will not show the video, so I'll send the link to the video. And for those on the Event Builder experience, they'll see the video starting shortly, right about, it's coming up. There's a console I use for showing videos within Skype for Business, and it is in the process of thinking. So I'm seeing one of those counters telling me that the video is coming soon. Oh, there's another question from Eric while we're waiting for this video console to come up, and that is, how is Kaizala integrating into Teams?
That's a great question. Thank you so much for that question. So essentially, let me first say that we basically thought that there was a need for Kaizala type features in certain market areas, certainly in emerging markets. And so there were we basically wanted to make sure that we plug that gap and provide that messaging app, and which is, people can have a peace of mind that that app is not a sort of IT shadow experience, but it is sanctioned by IT, and IT is behind that. Since then, we have heard a lot of feedback, and we basically decided that, as you probably saw about 4 weeks back, we made that announcement through a blog that we'll be bringing Kaizala feature set into Teams. So it's that work is going on. We're very excited to have that. We're going to merge the Kazala capabilities into Team and fold it, and there would be a single brand going forward, which would be Microsoft Teams. Now, those capabilities, you would beginning to see some of them in Q3, Q4 timeframe, and then some are right after that. If you have a particular interest, I'll encourage you to reach out to me offline, and we'll do an NDA briefing of that, where we are, what features are prioritized. We'd love to capture your feedback, what you feel in Kazala should be prioritized coming in there, but I would love to hear from you. But that engineering work is, as we're speaking, is in progress and full speed.
Great. Another question, Aamer. Jen asks, why do some users not see tasks in the Teams UX and others do?
Yeah, so it is essentially there is an application policy, and your IT admin basically must have configured a policy which for certain users allow the task application, and for other users may not allow the task application.
That's right. And occasionally, I don't think this applies in this case, but occasionally you'll have an experience where some users in your organization will be on what we call the earlier tranches for distribution of new features. So it can take over a week for features to be fully distributed within Teams, and we start with 10% of the audience and then increase. Now, sometimes that 10% covers an entire customer, but sometimes it doesn't. So occasionally there'll be a day or more difference between when features will show up. And for some users, it shows up in the ... or the more section of the app bar, and then when it's selected by the user, it's instantiated on the app bar. And until then, it will, in a sense, be waiting for them under the more or ... menu. So I can start the video now if there's no other questions. Last call. And Jen asks, when will private channels be available in Microsoft Teams? That's a great question. Aamer, I'll let you cover that one.
So Jen, those private channels is under, and I see a lot of people here probably who have exposure to it by virtue that they are part of the TAP. So TAP is a technology adoption program. So it is a validation program for the new features. Private channel being such an important feature, it is going through that validation program. That validation program, we want to make sure that we get it right, private channels, from all aspects, from content, from people, everything, from permissions, from capabilities. So that is in progress. As it concludes, we probably think in somewhere in second half 19, our expectation would be, but it would depend upon the success of that validation. So it's difficult to give you a time right now, but I think what I want to say is that directionally we are making a good progress because there is a whole lot of interest in private channels, and over 150 companies requested access to the tab.
That's right. The second half is the right date. It may be as early as this summer, and it just is dependent on customer feedback. And as context, this went into testing some time ago. I want to say over 6 months ago, we had a test with one particular architecture, and customers gave us very strong feedback that we needed to improve it. So it is based on that improvement that we are now in the second round of testing, and I'm cautiously optimistic that we'll be seeing private channels this summer. So last call for questions. Hearing none, I will start the Marks and Spencer video. If you're not seeing it, let me know.
Retail is tough. Retail's fast. The growth of online means things are changing for our store teams, and what we need them to do is changing. And therefore, the way we communicate and engage with our colleagues also needs to change so we stay ahead of the game.
Marks & Spencer, originally founded in 1884, is a business that cares hugely about the product that we sell and the experience that our customers have. We rely very heavily on a cascade process to cascade messages across 600 stores.
One of our biggest challenges at Marks & Spencer is actually getting the right information to the right people at the right time.
Teams, by its nature, has given us that opportunity to be efficient and also to know that we're landing the right information at the right time. That has an instantaneous impact on people because they know that within that one tool, they've got everything they need.
It was so easy to implement from a store point of view. Teams has absolutely empowered my team. They feel like they can go and make decisions and they feel just as involved now with the business as I do.
It's giving us everything under one roof, from the chat functionality through to the ability to edit files, share files in one environment.
They've got it on their phones. It's so much easier to read business documents on the sales floor. So rather than having to log into a computer, print off and then walk around with that, they can pull it up if they need to check something really quickly and it's instant.
We have a customer channel on Teams. Everything that we put on that channel is about driving, improving and enhancing the customer store experience. And the feedback and the response and the level of activity that is on that channel is absolutely superb. It frees up time for me to look at ways of growing our business. It frees up time for me to spend more time actively coaching and developing my leadership team.
Tens of millions of people walk through our doors every week and they'll have questions about everything. What we want to do is know that we've got all the knowledge at our fingertips.
Well,
The really exciting thing at Marks & Spencer about the collaboration with Microsoft is for the first time it gives us one platform that all of our 80,000 colleagues can all access and sets them up to be the best for our customers is really exciting.
So thank you all very much. Thank you, Aamer, for that great presentation. And if you're interested in starting a pilot, please contact the email address of worker, W-O-R-K-E-R, worker, at Microsoft.com, or reach out directly to Aamer.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you all. Take care.